For the last few seasons, the story of modern stage racing has revolved around one central question: who's stronger, Jonas Vingegaard or Tadej Pogačar? The Slovenian superstar has dazzled fans with his attacking style and relentless racing across every terrain imaginable, while Vingegaard has built his reputation as the rider capable of dismantling him in the right circumstance. But if the opening act of the 2026 season is anything to go by, the balance of power in that rivalry might be shifting once again, because at Paris-Nice, in brutal weather and chaotic racing conditions, Jonas Vingegaard didn't just win, he delivered one of the most dominant performances the race has seen in generations. Before we start the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and why not check out the video of the epic rise of Jonas Vingegaard if you've not seen that. Paris-Nice has long been one of the few races that stubbornly refused to go on Vingegaard's palmares, and Denmark never having a winner. When he debuted the race in 2023, he finished third behind Pogačar and David Gaudu. It was respectable, but not the kind of result the then defending Danish Tour de France champion was used to delivering. Then in 2025, he returned to the race, looking strong early on, being part of the winning team time trial, and even on one stage looking like he was going to take a stage win, but was pipped by Almeida towards the end. Did have the yellow jersey, but crucially crashed heavily the next day and suffered a serious concussion, ending his race and leaving unfinished business in one of cycling's most prestigious one-week stage races. By the time the 2026 edition arrived, the race to the sun really had become something of a missing piece in his palmares, but his season had not started how he would have wanted, with question marks over his form, with him not starting the UAE Tour and even having a crash and illness. So there was a lot of question marks whether the Dane was even ready. And when Vingegaard finally debuted at Paris-Nice, it really demonstrated how emphatic his form actually was. The first competitive point for Vingegaard was a team time trial, and that was not as planned. They had set the fastest initial time at one point, but eventually losing out, and him being 17 seconds down in the GC was not the preferable option. Then came the turning point on stage 4, ridden in truly miserable conditions. Rain, cold temperatures and chaotic racing had already defined the week and this stage as well. Yet when the decisive splits came, Vingegaard looked completely unfazed by the elements, and when he came to it in a very select group, he launched a powerful attack, dropped the remnants of the Red Bull team and solo to take the victory, seizing the yellow jersey in the process, and even became an infamous talking point for the bib strategy that didn't quite work off, that he said he didn't have time to take off, citing that the stage had been full gas almost all day. And you could see that with the average pace almost being 46 kilometers an hour for a stage that included a few cat climbs and a cat 1 climb at the end, so seriously fast. Vingegaard's win was the kind of move that instantly reshaped the general classification, but on stage 5, Vingegaard produced what might have been one of the most defining performances of the race, with an attack from around 20 kilometers to go, this time committing fully to a long-range solo attack. The gap grew rapidly as the Dane powered over the final climbs. By the finishing line, he had gained more than 2 minutes on the nearest chasers and was very similar to the dominating Jonas Vingegaard we saw in All Gran Camino in 2024, when he absolutely obliterated everyone. By the time Paris-Nice reached the final stage around Nice, Vingegaard already held a commanding advantage, more than 3 minutes. Many riders in that situation would ride conservatively, defending their lead and avoiding unnecessary risks. Vingegaard, however, chose a different approach. On the steep climbs overlooking the Mediterranean, he attacked yet again, forcing a race selection, this time only Lenny Martinez able to follow him. These two came to the line, but the young Frenchman did beat Vingegaard in the sprint, much to the disgruntlement of Vingegaard. The Dane, however, did secure the first ever victory in Paris-Nice history, not only for himself, but also for Denmark. The numbers behind the result made the performance even more remarkable. Vingegaard won the race by 4 minutes and 23 seconds over second place finisher Daniel Martinez, a margin rarely seen in modern World Tour 1 week races. In fact, it was the largest winning gap at Paris-Nice since 1939, when Maurice Archambault won by more than 9 minutes, and Vingegaard's margin was far bigger than that of Pogačar's win in 2023. Plus, he won all the jerseys apart from the white jersey, also at supreme dominance. Critics will say that the level of competition was higher in Pogačar's win in 2023, but you can only beat who's in front of you. In an era where general classifications are often decided by seconds rather than minutes, such a gap speaks volumes about the level Vingegaard's operating at throughout the week.
For me, Paris-Nice is one of the biggest races in the world, and yeah, I think you can say that it has been my Eleanor, if you can say that. It has been the one that I just couldn't get right. Finally, I get it right now, so that's something that makes me extremely happy and proud.
Perhaps the most intriguing part of his comment, however, came when he discussed his situation, his current condition. Despite dominating the race and riding away from the competition multiple times, Vingegaard suggested that he is not even at his peak yet. So could this just be the start of a dominant year for the Dane in 2026? That statement should raise eyebrows across the peloton. After all, this was Vingegaard's first race of the season, as that training crash and illness had forced him to skip his planned UAE tour, meaning Paris-Nice served as both his season opener and a test of his early form. Instead of simply building into a racing rhythm, he arrived ready to dominate one of the sport's biggest one-week stage races. Naturally, the question everyone wanted answered was whether his performance was meant as a message to his great rival of Tadej Pogačar. The Dane brushed the idea aside, insisting that he was simply focused on racing and winning the events on his schedule. But whether he intended it or not, the message was impossible to ignore. The rider who dismantled Paris-Nice in brutal conditions looked aggressive and confident. It wasn't just Vingegaard who had a good week, it was also his teammates. His second in command for the Tour de France team, we would assume Matteo Jorgensen, came very close to Isaac Del Toro, closer than many would have expected in Tirreno. And with Victor Campenaerts riding like 3 riders in Paris-Nice, it seems like Bismillista Bike's squad is also strengthening as we speak for perhaps a true assault after Tour de France. The big elephant in the room is Jonas Vingegaard is doing the Giro d'Italia. Will this weaken Vingegaard, and maybe he won't be his strongest against Tadej Pogačar when those come at the Tour de France? So that is the big danger. Is the Giro d'Italia going to weaken Jonas Vingegaard? This will be the first time he's done the Giro Tour in one season. He has of course done the Tour Welter before, and that is one of the reasons why they thought that this could maybe work. We saw him finish second last year in the Tour and win the Vuelta a España, but will that translate to a Giro Tour success like we saw with Tadej Pogačar in 2024? That all aside, this Paris-Nice is only good news for the Dane and much of a confidence boost for him heading into the new season, and we'll see him lock horns once again with Tadej Pogačar. But the question whether this is enough to beat Tadej Pogačar, we'll have to wait and see. But the two are looking on very good form, with Tadej winning Strada and Jonas winning in Paris-Nice. But that's basically it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know down below in the comments what you think. Is Jonas Vingegaard looking like the strongest version of himself in 2026? And are we going to see an epic duel at the Tour? And why not check out the video of Tadej Pogačar or even the biggest transfers of 2026? But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you around.